A worker on a North Sea rig washes his hard hat, and his crew refuses to work with him for the rest of the shift. What happens when 200 people live in a metal box 100 miles from land, working 12-hour shifts with no weekends for weeks at a time? The truth is darker and stranger than you think. Right now, roughly 1,470 offshore oil rigs operate across the globe, in the Gulf of Mexico, the North Sea, offshore Brazil, West Africa, and the Middle East. Each one holds about 200 workers. That is 1.5 million people living and working on these platforms. They produce 30% of the world's crude oil, drilling in water depths up to 12,000 feet. These are not small operations. A single semi-submersible platform can be the size of a football field, floating on massive columns anchored to the seabed or held in place by thrusters. Jackups sit on retractable legs that extend down to the ocean floor. Drill ships look like cargo vessels, but they punch holes through the seabed thousands of feet below. And all of them are designed to keep you alive while you extract oil from reservoirs buried under miles of rock and water. So why do people go? The money, entry-level roustabouts, the people doing grunt work, cleaning, moving equipment, and painting railings, earn $40,000 to $60,000 a year. Mid-level positions like drillers and derrick hands pull in $55,000 to $100,000 a year. Senior roles, tool pushers, rig managers, and subsea engineers make $150,000 to $250,000 or more. Some exceed $300,000. Offshore workers earn 15 to 30% more than their onshore counterparts. You work half the year. Free food, free housing, free medical care, helicopter rides to and from the rig, comprehensive health insurance, retirement plans with employer matching, overtime pay at 1.5 times your base rate, hazard bonuses. It sounds like a deal. Before the 1970s, workers were restricted to one 6-minute phone call per week. Now there is wireless internet. Sort of. Barely enough bandwidth to send a text. Forget streaming. Forget downloads. You load up your phone before you board the helicopter, and that is your entertainment for the next 3 weeks. But here's what the recruitment videos don't tell you. Your rotation is 14 days on and 14 days off, or 21 and 21, or 28 and 28. Every single day is identical. 12 hours on, 12 hours off. No weekends, no variation, no holidays. Christmas is just another shift. Your birthday is just another shift. You work 80 to 100 hours per week. During emergencies, equipment failures, weather events, blowouts, pressure control issues, shifts stretch to 16 hours or longer. One engineer reported staying awake for 30 hours straight during a well control incident. Your roommate works the opposite shift. You sleep in bunk beds, even if you are in your 30s, even if you have been doing this for a decade. If you are lucky, you graduate from a 6-person cabin on a jackup rig to a 2-person cabin on a semi-submersible. Workers still call that a victory. You shower in a shared bathroom down the hall. Your bedroom has no window for structural reasons, weather protection, and safety codes. The walls are thin. You hear everything. The noise on the production deck averages 85 to 90 decibels, spiking to 100 decibels near firewater pumps, flares, and supply vessels. That is the sound level of a chainsaw for 12 hours. Earplugs are mandatory, especially at night because your roommate snores. You are 100 miles from land. The ocean is gray. The helicopter that brought you here is your only way out, and it does not fly in bad weather. When a storm rolls in, you evacuate or you stay and ride it out. Either way, you are not in control. Here is what happens to your brain. 19% of oil and gas workers suffer from a psychological disorder, including anxiety and depression. Roughly 1 in 5 reports struggles with depression, anxiety, or substance abuse. Approximately 40% of surveyed energy workers admitted having suicidal thoughts while on duty. Let that sink in, 40%. A study from Robert Gordon University in Aberdeen found that 3-week rotations negatively impact mental health and cause high levels of fatigue, affecting spouses, partners, and children. Just over 1/4 of offshore workers reported satisfaction with work-life balance. That means 3/4 are dissatisfied. Workers describe living two separate lives, offshore self versus onshore self. The transition home is brutal. You walk through your front door and your family feels like strangers. Your kids have grown an inch. Your spouse has been managing everything alone. You have been living in a routine so rigid, so controlled, that normal life feels chaotic. You do not know how to relax. You do not know how to be home. Relationships form on the rig. Marriages happen between coworkers. People fall in love in the galley, in the rec room, during safety drills. And then they fall apart. The United Kingdom oil industry has the highest divorce rate of any profession in the country. Interviews with workers reveal a common theme. You feel like you are married to the rig, not your spouse. Unaddressed mental health issues cost the oil and gas sector approximately $200 billion per year in lost productivity and turnover. That is not a rounding error, that is the human cost. And then there is the part where you might die. Offshore oil and gas workers die at a rate of 27.1 fatalities per 100,000 employees, a fatality rate far above the average. The average United States worker dies at a rate of 3.8 deaths per 100,000. You are 7 times more likely to die on an offshore rig than in almost any other job. From 2014 through 2019, 470 workers in United States oil and gas extraction died. In 2023 alone, 113 workers in the United States mining, quarrying, and oil and gas extraction industry died. Globally, the International Association of Oil and Gas Producers recorded 32 fatalities in 2024 across 21 separate incidents. That is a fatal accident rate of 0.77 per million work hours. It is down from previous years, 0.82 in 2023, but it is still 32 people who went to work and did not come home. Leading causes include transportation incidents where helicopters crash into the ocean and crew boats capsize in rough seas. Contact with objects and equipment causes accidents such as a dropped wrench from 50 feet up, a crane cable snapping under load, or a pipe swinging loose. Explosions and fires are also common. 41% of deaths in 2024 involve fires and burns. 21.5% of worker fatalities involve people working alone. Most of those deaths happened in rural counties, offshore, or in remote onshore locations where emergency response is slow. When something goes wrong offshore, help is not coming fast. The nearest hospital is 100 miles away. The nearest trauma center might be 200 miles away. You have a medic on board, maybe a nurse, maybe a doctor if you're on a large platform. But if you need surgery, if you need a burn unit, if you need intensive care, you are waiting for a helicopter. And the helicopter does not fly in bad weather. So why do people stay? Now back to that hard hat. Never wash it. Never say the day is easy. Never discuss plans after your shift. It jinxes the work and guarantees more problems. Never mention previous explosions or disasters while on site. It brings bad luck. Never whistle on deck. Never say the word fire unless there is actually a fire. These are not official rules. They are not in the safety manual. They are cultural laws enforced by the crew. Break them and people will not work with you. They will not trust you. They will request a transfer. Why? Because when you live in a metal box in the middle of the ocean, when one mistake can kill everyone, when you cannot leave, you need something to control. You cannot control the weather. You cannot control the pressure in the well. You cannot control whether the blowout preventer will function when you need it. So you control the things you can. What you say, what you wash, who you trust. It is not rational. It is survival. It is the psychology of people living under constant low-level threat. The rituals give you the illusion of agency, and sometimes that illusion is enough. Let's clear up some myths. Myth 1, it's all roughnecks and machismo. Reality, the culture is shifting. Companies now discourage the biggest, baddest roughneck bravado in favor of collaboration and safety. Crews describe each other as a second family. Camaraderie is not optional, it is survival. You learn who you can trust. You learn who watches your back. You learn who cuts corners. Women now work offshore. though they report navigating macho culture, limited privacy, and extended family absence. One female worker described the challenge this way: "You are one of 3 women on a rig with 200 men. The bathroom situation is complicated. The sleeping arrangements are complicated. The social dynamics are complicated. But the money is the same, and the work is the same, and you prove yourself the same way everyone else does, by showing up, doing the job, and not complaining." Workers come from fishing, shipbuilding, military, and other industrial backgrounds. On North Sea rigs, you hear Geordie, Liverpudlian, and Scottish Doric accents mixed together. It is not a monoculture. It is a floating United Nations of people who need the money and can handle the isolation. Myth 2, the food is terrible. Reality, dedicated kitchen staff prepare meals around the clock in self-service canteens. Fresh food is helicoptered or shipped in regularly via supply vessels. Most workers report the food quality is surprisingly good. You can eat steak at 3 in the morning if you want. Eggs cooked to order. Fresh fruit. Dessert. It is one of the few perks. The galley becomes the social hub. You sit with your crew. You complain about the shift. You talk about what you are going to do when you get home. You do not talk about what could go wrong. Myth 3. You are completely cut off. Reality. Before the 1970s, yes, 1 6-minute phone call per week. Now rigs have wireless internet, satellite television, gyms, game rooms, movie rooms, laundry facilities, and commissaries where you can buy snacks and toiletries. Some rigs have basketball courts. Some have saunas. But bandwidth is limited. Not enough for streaming. Not enough for large downloads. Not enough for video calls that do not freeze every 10 seconds. Workers are advised to download movies, music, and shows before they board the helicopter. You are connected barely, enough to remind you of what you are missing, enough to see your kid's soccer game in a choppy 10-second video, enough to read a text from your spouse that says, "We need to talk," and then wait 6 hours until your shift ends to call back. If this story is gripping you, hit subscribe and drop a comment. What part of rig life should we unpack next? Here is what does not make the safety reports. You miss your kid's birthday. You miss your anniversary. You miss funerals. Your spouse becomes a stranger. Your children grow up with a parent who is there half the time, and when you are home, you are still offshore in your head. You walk into your house and it feels wrong. Too quiet, too chaotic, too unpredictable. You miss the routine. You miss the structure. You miss knowing exactly what you are supposed to do at every moment of the day. One worker said this: "They just work you until you're broken, and then you're done." Turnover is brutal. Some companies have 50% annual turnover in entry-level positions. People quit after 1 rotation. They quit after 6 months. They quit after realizing the money is not worth it. Others stay for decades. They become lifers. They celebrate small victories, graduating from a 6-person cabin to a 2-person cabin after 20 years offshore. Still sleeping in bunk beds in their 30s. Still sharing a bathroom. Still calling it a victory. The rig becomes your reality. Home becomes the place you visit. Your rig crew knows you better than your family does. They know your habits. They know your moods. They know when you are having a bad day. They know when you need to be left alone. Your family does not know any of that anymore. So that worker who washed his hard hat, his crew refused to work with him because they knew something the rest of us forget. Offshore, you are not in control. The ocean does not care about your schedule. The pressure does not care about your experience. The weather does not care about your family waiting at home. The geology does not care about your safety record. The only thing you can control is the ritual, the routine, the superstition, the things you do and do not do, the words you do and do not say. And sometimes that is the only thing keeping you sane or alive. Because out there, 100 miles from land, in water 10,000 feet deep, surrounded by explosive gas and flammable oil and machines that can crush you in an instant, you need to believe that your actions matter, that your rituals protect you, that washing your hard hat might actually be the thing that tips the balance between coming home and not coming home. It is irrational, but so is the job. Subscribe for more deep dives. Thank you.